Testing, testing. Are there any smart individuals out there? Well, you know what? I consider this a blessing in disguise. I've been having this indirect communication, I guess you would call it a discussion with Astromut from Godlike Productions. And, if you watched my previous video where I talked about him, I was very cordial. And I just wanted to talk about the content, and I still do. I still want to talk about the content. And so, without further ado, let me just explain to you the interactions that have been going on. Let's go here. This is the previous video, and in the description box, I have a link to the Godlike Productions thread that he started, and where he also is a senior forum moderator, and he has, I'm assuming he has banned me, so I am not able to post. And the funny thing is, though, he's actually accusing me of posting with the proxy IP, and I'm not. It just so happens that there's other smart individuals out there who are agreeing with me that it is the celestial sphere that is precessing, and obviously not the Earth, because the Earth does not spin. That's ridiculous. But anyway, he's responding to these anonymous posters as if they were me. They're not me. I can't boast there. So let me just go really. He wanted to bring up. He still wanted to say, well, no, it cannot be the celestial sphere that is precessing, because it must be the Lunisolar, or actually it's the Lunisolar tide that's causing the precession. Lunisolar tide. See, he's calling me. Yeah. No, I'm not posting on the thread. I'm sorry. I'm not posting from a proxy. Maybe I'm just dealing with a child here. He's acting rather immature, jejune, fractious even. But I just want to talk about the content. And so I want to be able to rebut. It's not it's not a rotating Earth that's causing precession. It is a celestial sphere, and well, I just had to do a little animation to actually prove a few things, and discovered a few other things that now you will understand once I show them to you. But where was that reply that he talked about? Let me see if I can find it really quick here. Lunisolar. How does Lunisolar tide prove you didn't just document star sphere precession? Okay. Let's go back up. Lunisolar tide. Look it up. You're the one making the incredible claim. It's up to you to prove it. Yes, I will prove it. But I'm not that person there that posted that. Okay. Lunisolar tide. If you look up precession or axial precession, the so-called spinning Earth, they will say that it's attributed to the sun and the moon causing fluctuations around the Equatorial region. I think he even says that in here, right? If I'm not mistaken. Equatorial region. Lunisolar gravitational torquing of Earth's equatorial bulge is the dominant factor in axial precession. That's what I wanted to find. Thanks for letting my draw you back out, Stevie. Well, I don't know what that means. Okay. I don't know what that means. Okay. You've heard that there's an equatorial bulge to this Earth that we're, quote, living on, and that it's spinning, and that's why it's causing equatorial bulge. And even though it doesn't make sense, because if it was spinning like that, you'd have this force in the middle, this gravitational force pulling you to the edge, and why would it be spinning? Why would it be bulging out on the side? It doesn't make sense, okay? It's duplicitous to even say, well, we're being held to the ground by the center of this mass that we call Earth, and yet there's an equatorial bulge, and yet water is sticking to it. Let me just show you what I just animated. You're gonna like bing bing light bulbs go off here. All right, let me pull this up here. What you got to realize, okay? You're in a container, okay? Or let's say you have a container, a hollow container, and you put a heat source in there. And that heat source is orbiting around the equatorial region of that container. Let's say it's a spherical container. Okay, so let's say it's metal. I talked about the Earth having metal rinds to it. Even if it's not metal, heat is still going to expand objects, especially containers. Thermal expansion, okay? So if the sun is orbiting around this container at 23 north to 23 south, it stays in the tropic zones, okay? That tropic zone is going to get more heat and it's going to expand. Hallelujah. I'll show you right now. Okay, here's my animation here. I got the little moon and a little sun here. There's orbiting around the tropic regions. The moon is going from -28 to +28, which would constitute a lunar standstill, a major lunar standstill. And don't pay attention to the actual rotation velocities, or this is just for visualization, but you notice here how the equator bulges out like that because of thermal expansion, ladies and gentlemen. Thermal expansion due to the sun's heat. Obviously, it's warmer at the equator. This is also proof that the Earth is hollow. It has a thin shell. What else does it prove? Well, you know, remember when Neil deGrasse said the Earth was pear-shaped? Remember that? This proves that too. I'll show you if you watched a previous video of mine. Pull that one out. Right over here, the equation of time, the analemma within LSC concave Earth. You notice from the side view, I have this time-lapsed animation where in the southern hemisphere, the sun is closer to the Earth. Now, the southern hemisphere is not necessarily warmer because there's more water in the southern hemisphere, but if the sun is closer, it's going to create more thermal expansion in the sun. They say that it's a little bit chubbier in the south, right, Neil deGrasse? is this not like making sense to everybody? Okay, so, and it's closer in the north. So we have the analemma working out perfectly. I've showed you before the equation of time, how that all works perfectly. There is a literal change in velocity from acceleration to deceleration of the sun as the back of the sun, the rays hit the back of the sun as they pass through that Milky Way band area, in which it slows it down. And so the equation of time is resolved perfectly, and it does not work on a spinning Earth where they have to say that the equatorial orientation or axial tilt, as well as the elliptic orbit of this Earth around the sun, creates the apparent slowing down and speeding up the sun. It doesn't. Okay, it's right here. It's resolved. It's perfectly resolved. Understanding. What else we got here? We got the moon. Okay, Lunisolar precession makes a lot more sense if that moon and that sun are in a container and there is pressure. Okay, there's pressure within this container. Now, as this moon and the sun move north and south within that tropic region, a little bit higher and lower for the moon, obviously, it's going to cause a pressure differential. So there's a little bit more slop over here. Now imagine like you have like a ball and socket joint, okay? Ball and socket joint, okay? Now let's say that ball and socket joint is a little bit loose around the equator. You're going to have a little bit of slop there, okay? Slop. We have slop at the equatorial region within the pressure zone here. Okay, we're talking about pressure, and there's a little slop, there's a little play. You know, it's like a ball bearing that's a little bit loose. That is what's causing the precession of the celestial sphere. When? Oops, wrong graphic. Sorry. When? Okay, the sun and the moon, they have more play here. And so the celestial sphere gets slightly, I mean, we're just talking very minutely confused, and it wobbles a little bit. Very, very slightly. Very, very slightly. Now keep in mind, I didn't animate the bulge at the southern region to show the pear shape, but we also talk about, they also talk about the poles are flattened. Okay, well obviously this would actually cause the poles to be flattened a little bit. I also mentioned before in a previous video a long time ago where I talked about the auroras and I believe there's a metal rind to the Earth. It has layers of oil, water, metal, rock, granite, basalt, you name it. But I also believe that there's an opening in the rind in the northern and southern region, and that's how we get the auroral zone. And there's an offset to this rind, about 10 degrees. That's why the auroral zone is not lined up with the geographic North Pole. Okay, so that's a good another indication, a reason why that's another reason why the poles are slightly flattened. Okay, we talked about the major lunar standstill. This is the declination range of the moon. So is it beginning? It shouldn't be beginning. I mean, this is like a slam dunk. Slam dunk for hollow, concave, cellular, spherical, well, almost spherical, oblate, pear-shaped spherical LSC Earth. Okay. Thermal expansion. Equatorial bulge is formed by thermal expansion from the sun's heat. Precession of the celestial spheres due to pressure differential of the sun and the moon. Lunisolar precession. It's all right there, guys. So, I mean, come on, man. I mean, you're acting like a child. I'm just like, it's not even a contest. You got the artist, and you got the scientist. Who's going to win? Yeah, well, I'm the Lord as well. But obviously, I had to give myself a little bit of handicap, but even with the handicap, revolutionary, ladies and gentlemen, revolutionary. I'll just prove to you why we have equatorial bulge, why there's precession of the celestial sphere, why there's no rotation of the Earth, why there's a flattening of the poles, why there's a southern bulge more so in the south as opposed to the north. What else do you want? The world? Bye.